Hey guys, what is up? I'm here to give you guys a recap and maybe somewhat of an analysis on My Hero Academia Season 5 on Episode 2 or Episode 90 of the overall total number of episodes. Anyways, this episode right here was actually really slick and it reveals a lot more of what's to come. And this is like to take preemptive measures to make sure nothing like that could ever happen again. Although, we don't know. The future is uncertain. And you guys might be saying, okay, what are you talking about, man? You always do this kind of rambling all the time. Well, I'll get to that just right now. So let's just get this started. We had to it that our boy Endeavor is in the hospital, and he remembers like meeting up with Dabi, and Dabi said he just wants that Nomu. Unfortunately, before Dabi could actually clash against Endeavor and Hawks, we had to it that Miracle, or should I say our bunny hero, shows up and tries to clash against him, And I'm really glad to see her in action. It's actually really, hot. Now, yeah, call me Crazy Milanakis for saying that, but I'm just speaking my mind, I thought it was really hot to see her in action. That aside, all I know is Dabi ends up having to, say something to Endeavor, saying, don't make sure you don't die, NG Todoroki. I'm like, oh my gosh. This guy seems like he is well informed about the situation, especially about Endeavor's real name. Or he might have known that for a long time now. I don't know, But whatever the case is shown, we have to it that after the opening, there's a meeting between Hawks and Dabi, and they end up talking about the situation, and they have disagreements on things, Like, Dabi says, hey, look, you told me that you're supposed to have, a strong person facing this Nomu. I told you there'll be a Nomu performance test, but you say this guy is strong. I don't see this guy as strong. And Hawks is like, hey, you sent in a Nomu that's a little too much, You didn't inform me of that, And Dabi's like, well, things had to change. If anything else, I'll contact you again, okay? Then we get to see a scene where where we get to know about Hawks' true mission. At first I thought he was a mole in Hero Academia, right? But he was given a hidden mission by a government besides the hero, possibly someone in the top brass of the hero agency, telling Hawks, we want you to infiltrate the League of Villains or join them. Make it look like you're part of them, And Hawks is like, hey, are you really serious about this? And he said, yeah, we are serious. Remember that time when what happened with All For One and Camino, We don't want that to happen again. And if we could snuff out more organizations here and there, we might have a chance to prevent this to be any further accidents from somewhere else, And I can see where they're coming from. Hawks, our number 2 hero, he was not at the freaking Camino incident, when All Might had his final battle against All For One, and I still consider that one of the crazy battles, but I really wish we could have seen the fact of how they fought when they were at peak and prime performance, But that aside, they ended up telling Hawks we need you to be part of the League of Villains and infiltrate as a spy for both sides, Try to compromise, try to do your best because we have to do what we can. Then we get to know a little bit of a backstory with Hawks, He is actually a person or a young boy that saved a group of people from a certain accident, and we get to know about somewhat of his poor possibly childhood background, It looked like he seemed so solemn and sad, and etc., But whatever the case may be, we have to it that Hawks and Endeavor say their couple words with each other, and end up saying their goodbyes, As continuing on with Hawks' mission, we get to see to it that he was scouted out by the upper brass of the agency, possibly a government or hero agency, And like I said, he was founded when he was a young kid that saved a group of people from an accident, etc. And of course, as for Hawks, he is doing the best he can to try to infiltrate the League of Villains and possibly figure out what's up. Now this part right here, a revelation of Hawks, must be very, very important, Because we all thought Hawks was just saying, oh, I don't like the society, I'm just going to infiltrate the hero society and make it look like I'm on their side. But no, he is given this mission by the upper possible hero agency or government bracket to tell him, we want you to infiltrate the League of Villains because we got to know what they're doing. If we know what they're doing, guaranteed of all life given to us, we will have the biggest chance to make sure we don't have that same accident like we had in Camino, you know? Because if you guys remember correctly, All For One and All Might clashed against each other, and guaranteed they leveled the city very badly. A lot of collateral damage and possibly a lot of lives lost and many homeless. It's very sad and devastating, you know? Yeah. Then we get to see, around the 10-minute mark at most, we get to see Endeavor having to return to his family, and we get to see Naoto, Shoto, and Fuyumi, pretty much most of the Todoroki family, to like maybe have a family dinner. But we have to it that Naotsuo, I don't know how to pronounce his name or something, forgive me. He ends up wanting to leave right now as he's being sick to his stomach just by staring at him, you know? And we have to it that like Endeavor says, hey, look, Natsuo, if you have something to say, say it. And then he ends up ranting to him saying, hey, you neglected me, you treated Mom badly, I can still remember Shoto's freaking cries. You think you're changing, you think you're better. Just because you're number one top hero doesn't change the fact of what the hell you done back then. It's not going to erase everything. You got that? And we have to Naotsuo has a big grudge against his father because of what he's done, you know? And there's no way, and the way how I look at it, he can't forgive him for it. Not after all he's done and what happened with someone named Toya. Now, that becomes very important too, because it looks like to me, whatever the case may be, like Naotsuo is not going to forgive his father for what he's done to mom and sister, etc. But after what you did, you're just a crazy a-hole, you know that? You're a jacked up guy thinking you changed, but you haven't changed at all. You neglected us, and then, you know, you think you're number one hero defeating a strong enemy. So what? That doesn't make it disappear from my mind of what you did. Mom's crying and what happened to our big brother Toya, you know? That alone is already starting to be a little big difference, you know? We have to that Naotsuo tells him that you only changed your heart, but not for us. You got that? Nothing would ever change. And we have to it that like Endeavor was trying to tell Natsuo, I want to make it up to you, you know? And Natsuo was like, oh really? Is that the case? Goodbye. And Natsuo just leaves, you know, in total disgust, you know? Now, this must be very important because Toya is very important because we don't see this guy around in the Todoroki family. So we wonder what the heck really happened to him, you know? Whatever the case may be, it's really bad. All I know is Fuyumi was trying to do her best right now, but Endeavor says, I'm sorry, you know, it must be tough on you, etc. As for Shoto Todoroki, or Shoto, our boy, half fire, half cold, we get to know that Shoto speaks his mind. I can't forgive you for what you did, but I want to see what plays out from here on out, you know? And we get to see a news media involving like people having mixed reactions or mixed receptions about like Endeavor being number one. They say, oh, this guy struggled, you know, and the villains escaped. But there's some people there's one kid who says, hey, who's the guy that's risking his life right now to help us, to save us, huh? What a load of is that, huh? Why aren't you guys looking at the proper things and understand what he really did instead of just looking at the simple nitpicky stuff? And, you know, in the news media, it's always going to be like that, you know? Endeavor being number one must be very questionable to society and the community and possibly the heroes themselves, you know? But society in general, they go like, oh, this guy, are you sure it's okay? But there's always certain fans saying, oh my gosh, that's really awesome about you, you know? This guy really did a good job, you know, etc. And we have to it that, like, Endeavor remembering that he wants to make a future for these heroes, you know? And he remembers how bad he treated, like, his family here and there, and that we have to that Endeavor tries to go to Naotsuo and maybe try to make amends with him. But it's not going to be that easy, man. I'm pretty sure any of us, or maybe most of us, possibly some of us in this world, have possibly gone through such, like, possibly nasty relationships with your parents, especially possibly our fathers. And sometimes, depending on the situation and what they did, it can never easily be forgiven. That's for sure. But that aside, me going over, we had to it that we go back to Izuku where he did basic hero training, you know, and he's really exhausted and he ends up falling asleep. but he ends up having to see a dream, and this involves that he ends up seeing the previous holders of One for All, you know? And not only that, we get to see a scene inside this dream involving All for One and All for One's little brother, or the first user for One for All, you know? Now this might be crazy, but if you guys remember what All Might said, you know, he said something about like how it was cultivated and how it was passed on from one person to another. And we get to see a scene where All for One and One for the first user for One for All arguing with each other, saying, "Look what you're doing. This ain't right." And All for One's like, "Okay, take a look at this." You know, we get to see how one guy looks like a monster, you know, and he's neglected by not only society but his parents as well. Then there's this one guy who apparently was beaten up by a bunch of quirk user gangs, you know, and that the stun gun he had was useless and he was pummeled down, and therefore he presents something to his younger brother, and he loves him to death, you know, because he's the only family he has left. We have to it that like he takes away the power that made the guy look hideous, and he gave power to a guy that he's able to defend himself, you know. And we have to go, and All for One tells his younger brother like, isn't this what it is, you know? Isn't this what I'm doing is good for society? Like, is that so bad? And we have to it that he says, you're just using these people as your puppets, you know? We have to it that we get to know, and we've always been hinted at and given very big clues that the younger brother for All for One has always been neglecting his big brother's schemes or plans, you know, because of what he's doing. But the way how he's representing of how he's trying to help people, you know, he got rid of a power that made the guy look hideous, and he will not be neglected no more. As for the other guy, he's given power so he's able to defend himself no matter what, you know. It's kind of hard to freaking compromise, but if All for One is just try to gather underlings, you know, I guess that's the reason why the younger brother's trying to reject him. And we have to it that that we get to see the dream scheme of the scene where he argues with his older brother saying, you gotta stop this madness, and I think he says something that might be insulting, and there's a bodyguard that pushed him down and said, hey, you better not insult my savior, you got that? And he tells his bodyguard, hey, take it easy. This guy is my younger brother, and he's very frail. You have to be careful. And we get to see how how All for One was able to gather so many people under his wing and say, I could give you guys what you want. I could help you. And we have to it that we get to see a scene where All for One visit his younger brother in the prison cell, you know? And it looks like, to me, it looks very terrible. And he says, look, looks like you're not eating again. What's the deal, huh? And we have to it that the younger brother says, I'm not going to be what you want me to be. And he goes like, don't you understand? I want to tell you something, you know? Without power, you can't do anything. You know, there's actually a faction that got in my way and refused my order, right? And guess what I did? I freaking killed them on the spot. I didn't order anything. I didn't do anything. So my many friends who adore me and just acted the way I wanted them to do, you know, etc. We have to it that he remembers reading a comic book, you know, talking about it with his younger brother, but his younger brother says there was something you didn't read beyond that. And there was a scene of the comic book where the hero faces the Demon King and ends up bringing peace and prosperity to the world, you know. And this is kind of a very ironic or sad symbolism, you know, because what All for One represents is that Demon King, you know, and that hero is represented by by the young man, by All for One's younger brother, etc., saying that I would not and save the world from his tyranny. The bad guys will always lose in the end. And the irony is that antagonists will lose in the end, but sometimes sometimes that cannot always be the case. Surely it's always certain that certain evil karma will never actually take take refuge. But we have to it that like All For One tells his younger brother, dreams have become reality, and I'm gonna make sure you submit to me, you know. And we have to that he ends up giving his brother a power that his weak little body can handle, and says, you're very dear to me and I love you. You understand that. But he ends up telling him, stop, please, I don't want this. And then All For One's like, too bad. I found a meta power that even you with your withered body could use. So get the hang of it, okay? But unfortunately, we have to it that the dream ends there, etc. And Izuku ends up seeing the first user of All For One, you know? The original creator of All For One. He ends up telling Izuku, there's so much I want to tell you right now. So much to show and to reveal. But you just barely got at 20% right now, you know? So, for the time being, I'm pretty sure there's more to talk, but we'll say about this later, you know? But you'll be fine eventually. And we have to it that, like, he says, you'll be fine because you're not alone, etc., you know? And Izuku ends up waking up, accidentally using his power and breaking the window in his room, you know? Or should I say the balcony door window on his room. He goes like, what the hell did I just see, you know? And preview of next episode. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see this in action, man. I'm pretty sure I, a manga reader, am not the only one, you know? I can't wait to see this. I know what I said is... yeah. Looking forward to next episode. It's called Class A versus Class B. Now, this is where, like, we get to see some spotlights in Class B. And I'm glad of that. There's always got to be certain characters that need spotlight. And sometimes a lot of people don't like that, but I like it, you know? Because, like I said, like in any series or story when it comes to entertainment and media, there's always got to be spotlights for certain characters that could, like, shine at least at the peak, you know? So, until then, people, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot.